erstwhile are no pun included.
The Eurogame Uber genre is stagnant, and interesting games just don't come out anymore. 700 cards in Tractor Forming Mars? There's just too many cards. I'm sorry, there's too many cards.
Good news, folks! I solved the Fermi paradox. Whilst you fools have been looking for aliens in space, I found them hiding in a board game produced by the people who made Codenames. Unlike Codenames, SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, a title that literally says the same thing twice, is a chunky strategy game about surveying nearby stars, sending satellites and probes into planets of the solar system, crunching the data in your computer, and getting influencer money to buy better gear to do it all over again for the rest of your life. A sentiment I can't relate to at all. That is the most condensed big picture vision of SETI I can show you, because once you start breaking it down, all of these mechanisms are mini games connected by a thread of victory points and whoever has the most. Let me show you how some of these work. This reference card displays a glorious number of things you could be doing on your turn, but broadly the game can be split up into two categories: flying a probe through the solar system and scanning different stars. Both of these happen on the game board, and I know that you've been looking at it, and at the back of your head there's a little voice inside screaming, Efka, does it spin? Please tell me that it spins. It spins. To fly a probe, first you will need to launch a probe, which is an action by itself and costs you 2 credits. Flying it, however, is a free action, and you can do it as much as you want, spending 1 energy for each movement. Remember these costs, they'll be important later. At this point you should be asking, well, what is the point? We're not flying this thing for fun. That's right, you're flying it for science. Whilst there's various points of interest your probe could cross, gaining you the valuable resource of publicity, ultimately you want it to reach one of the planets, because you can land your probe on them. You can also orbit them. There's orbiting too. Whether you land or orbit, you'll get a whole heap of variable rewards depending on what planet you land on or orbit, or whether you land or orbit. Generally, the closer planets like Venus have middling but still lucrative rewards, whereas distant planets have really enticing prospects if you manage to slingshot your dinky probe meeple towards them. Which is where the spinny board comes in. At various stages of the game, players will do things that will make the board spin. And it doesn't just spin, it spins in 3 stages, always creating a different state of the solar system. If your probe gets caught in the wake of some cresting cardboard, surf's up, dude, you're getting a free ride into an asteroid field. So, it's a puzzle. Moves that spin the board are telegraphed by player resources, and if you can figure out where and when it will spin, you can navigate your probe towards advantageous positions that will get you closer to your destination planet for free. Very space-like, much slingshot maneuver. I like all of this. But what is this smorgasbord of planet victory points and Eurogame bonuses? Smells a lot like space point salad to me. And what has it got to do with, SETI and the communal processing power of all of the Pentium 2s in the world in the 90s? Well, Mechanism 2, scanning for aliens. At the edge of each of the sectors of our solar system are nearby stars such as Proxima Centauri or Vega or M. Bison. Again, the spinny board comes into focus because each time you scan the star that Earth is currently pointing at, and then a second star depending on its color, which I won't explain now. Scanning, just like launching or moving a probe, costs resources, which again will be important later. When you do scan, for each scan you'll remove a data pip from the star's location and replace it with your player disc. These discs are your warriors in an eternal battle of who will be the most signaled amongst the signalees. Once the star's data bank is depleted and replaced with player pips entirely, the player with the most discs will get a big Eurogame bonus. You can also make the scanning action more efficient, adding adjacent star systems to Earth's into the equation, or the ability to scan from Mercury, which is always opposite from Earth, by purchasing technologies with your publicity currency. You can upgrade other things too, like the ability to have 2 probes at the same time, or decreasing the cost of flying through asteroids. And that data you got for scanning, you can bung it into your personal computer for more bonuses, and you can upgrade that too and get even more bonuses for each data you place there. But why? Why are we doing all of this? What does this data do? Are we just like those Pentium 2s burning our analysis paralysis CPUs for what? Distant hope and victory points? No, fool! Told you at the beginning there's aliens in the box! You find aliens! They just sort of appear. Well, not really. Remember all those Eurogame bonuses I was coy about? Landing a probe on a planet, emptying out a distant star of data pips, and filling up your computer with data all produce alien traces of various colors. These go on the alien discovery track, and as soon as all 3 colors are filled, bam! Aliens! The fun part of this is that there's 5 aliens in the box, and only 2 will be present in each game. And you won't know which 2 they are until you reveal them. Each alien introduces new rules. Let me repeat that. Each alien introduces new Eurogame rules in the middle of the Eurogame. The game you thought you were playing, different game now. And that's not just a gimmick. I mean, if you want to be good at SETI, you're playing Schrodinger's metagame. 2 random interruptions out of a possible 5 means there's 10 different metagames that could be or not be. 10 different directions the game could swing in, so you better prepare for all of them. Oumuamua is a dead rock with fossilized traces of an extinct civilization that actually hurtled past our solar system in 2017, although sans preserved alien skeletons probably. How we encounter it again in SETI isn't really explained, but what is explained by this rules brochure is that if you collect fossil tokens, you can climb on this very good points track if you acquire more alien traces. If that's not wacky enough for you, how about space bugs that introduce a pick up and deliver game where your probe now needs to carry alien eggs for mega rewards, or a species that left behind forbidden technologies and you can dip into them for, once again, mega rewards. But if you're the person that dips most, you will lose 10% of your score at the end of the game. 10%? That's too many percent. No, really, this alien feels weighted poorly, especially in a 2-player game. And I hope by now a different picture of SETI is emerging. A game that's less about doing things and getting rewards, but one that puts its players into constant opposition. If the board didn't spin Widdershins, I'd give you some sort of an analogy about it being a ticking clock, pushing players to keep up with its beat, but it does spin Widdershins, so no analogy for you. SETI makes you watch how much publicity opponents have and when they can spend it to spin the solar system. Makes you watch for opportunities on the nearby star tracks. Makes you watch for opportunities on the alien tracks. Makes you watch what cards are out in the display. Oh yeah, forgot to tell you. That's right, it's one of those games. You know, with the 200 plus cards, Wingspan, Arc Nova, Tractor Forming Mars, Race for the Galaxy. Yeah. With the exception of Race for the Galaxy and Forest Shuffle, I have historically not been a fan of these. But that's not what's important. What is important is that a lot of people who watched my Arc Nova video misunderstood what I was trying to say, so I have to explain it all over to them again, even though they're probably not watching this video. Look, this matters to me. For some reason. My chief argument about Arc Nova was that it was a tactical game masquerading as a strategy game, and I like tactical games. And I also like strategy games. I just don't want one to pretend to be another. I argued that it wasn't fun to have bear cards that synergize if you have more bear cards, but there's barely any bears. I know this is going on, but please bear with me. And everyone in the comments was, LOL, dork, you wanted bear strategy? What a loser. Just don't understand the game. And I'm sitting at my computer in my house pants reading these going, please, this isn't what I'm saying. I just want the game to not feature strategies that aren't viable. I want the game to not be a bear tease. I find weird cards that make promises they can't cash unbearable. This, on the other hand, this absurdly sized pile of cards, I like it because, yes, each card is unique, lets you smart your way out of rules restrictions, has 4 different uses, but most importantly, not once did I feel like any of them tried to obfuscate the idea that SETI is an intensely tactical game, not a strategy game, like I said at the beginning of the video, just tactical. This is the strategic depth of SETI. You can go probe or you can go scanning, or a bit of both. Instead, the game lives in the moment-to-moment decisions of, do I Bob or do I Odenkirk? Remember when I told you to remember the costs? The central design pillar of SETI is to never let you accumulate wealth. All actions are expensive and there is no way to increase income without spending dubious amounts of money. One way to use cards is to tuck them under your income card for credits, energy, or more card draw. You'll get all of these resources at the beginning of each of the game's 5 rounds, and you'll even get the resource as soon as you tuck the card under. But anything that lets you do so requires multiple turn sequences of actions, unless you find a card that breaks that rule, but even then it's not cheap. And talking of multiple turn sequences, synergistic actions tend to double dip into the same resource. For example, launching a probe costs credits. Moving it, on the other hand, costs energy. Once you trundle that probe to the destination planet, you could set it to orbit, but the rewards on that aren't as tasty as the big point bonus for landing it. Landing it, however, costs free energy unless someone is already orbiting the planet, and just to give you an idea of how much free energy is, that is all you get for round 1. So if you move the probe, you can't land it. This is where the alternative way to spend cards immediately pops up to yell, "Hi, pick me, pick me!" You can always discard cards as free actions to immediately get what's on the top left corner. These are always data pips, publicity, or look at that, probe movement. Suddenly, if I squeeze an energy out of this or out of that, maybe I can land it. But wait, we haven't talked about the effects themselves. What about a card that lets you pay money rather than energy to land a probe? Even on a moon rather than the planet itself, which you could otherwise only do with a certain technology that you need to purchase, and the moons give better bonuses. But which cards do I spend for probe movement, and which ones do I keep back for energy income? And so it goes. This extra modularity of cards enshrines opportunistic play. You drew cards for scanning signals when you're focusing on probes? No problem, just bin them for extra publicity. Or probe movement. There's always something to do with them, despite their hyper-specific and circumstantial nature. My favorite moment in SETI was when I played a card that would net me 13 points at the end of the game, as long as I had a probe parked on an asteroid. Which, on the face of it, seems like a fantastic deal and a whole lot of points for nothing. Except, look, I've played Euro games before. I know how this goes. At game end, every resource will matter. Every probe I haven't landed is a waste of up to 26 points, more if it meshes with other scoring conditions. Which means that cards like this are the equivalent of tossing a coin in a well and hoping that your wish comes true. And if you approach SETI with that mindset, you're gonna have a heck of a time. I did get those 13 points and achieved everything else I wanted to do, but only because my opponent, on their very last turn, revealed a card in the offering that let me move my probe twice for 1 credit rather than energy. If that card hadn't come out, I could have launched a probe, but then would have no energy or cards left to move it. It was a literal miracle that swung the game from lose to win, only because rounds earlier I flushed money down the toilet, hoping that it would make it rain gold later. I say all of this because I suspect that SETI is one of those feel-good time games with lots of cards that's going to stick around for a while. Historically, They just do. From Arc Nova to Wingspan, make a Eurogame with hundreds of cards, and there's just something about them that keeps drawing people back in. But mistake SETI for a deep thinky game, and you're just going to run out of fuel. Now let's talk about Bon Jovi. I bought my first ever album when I was 11 years old. It was Crossroad, the best of compilation by Bon Jovi, and I was so happy with it. Don't you be down on John Bon, my man literally saves lives. Anywho, why would you not buy a best of album? It is in the title, best of. It has the best songs. Those sick drums on Keep the Faith, that Richie Sambora solo on Wanted Dead or Alive, all in one convenient compact disc, which were very new back then. I don't think I need to explain to you, grown-ups, why these compilations aren't the greatest thing artistically. They're just repackaged things that sold well for your convenience. Any artistic intention, out the window. But they are reliably good fun. SETI is exactly that convenience. The best of Eurogame mechanisms. Tracks, area majority, hundreds of cards, tight squeeze economy, race to be first. They're even integrated well, and you'll have a good time as long as you don't think about it too much. I know I just made a video about Eurogames being stale and regurgitating the same tropes over and over again, and literally the next video I'm playing devil's advocate for the pasteurized distillation of this exact industry trope, but I can't lie, there's something to this Eurogame lark when the dopamine releasing mechanisms are packaged together. A good evening, you know? I just wish SETI was better adjusted for player count. I already mentioned that one of the alien species is poorly tuned for 2 players, but actually, this whole board doesn't adjust for player count. 2-player area majority has never been a strong Eurogame feature, and coupled with all of the restrictions of the rotating board and scanning the 8 different nearby stars, relegates half of the game to the bench, which makes a lot of the cards in the deck whiffs, and since scanning is what refreshes the card tableau, that stops happening, it's just no good at 2. I wish that the other sides of these nearby stars had at least some sort of a condensed 2-player option. 4, on the other hand, I've never played and never will. At 3, it's already not the paciest thing, so, you know, if you don't own a Eurogame and specifically play with 3 players, this is the game to get right now. It's on the hotness, you know, Wanted, Dead or Alive, and if you buy it someday, you'll be Saturday night. Just play those tactical cards, hoping they'll resolve, living on a prayer. Gotta keep the faith. Or just go out in a blaze of glory. Anywho, I don't think this gives Eurogames a bad name. And if you lay your hands on it, I can't promise you that you will love it, always, but in these arms, it'll be there for you. Those are all Bon Jovi songs from Crossroad, if it wasn't clear what I was doing there. I'll stop now. Please check out our Patreon. We're entirely independent, no publisher support, no review copies, and our podcast Talk Cardboard is on video now on our sister channel, so do check that out as well. See you soon.